Welcome back to AM Northwest. Our next guest is a blues legend and one of Oregon's music icons. He's also the man who inspired the creation of the Blues Brothers. His latest record, Fine By Me, is now out on vinyl, and we welcome back to AM Northwest the one and only Curtis Salgado. Good to have you back again.
It's nice to be here.
Congrats on another album out, another vinyl.
Thank you.
What inspired that album?
Because that's how I make a living.
Gotcha.
It is record, tour, record,
Yeah,
tour. You got to
gotcha.
have it now more than ever because of streaming music and
Oh,
stuff.
for sure.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
You got to have product.
Yeah,
You
got
got
to put it out there.
Yeah. Try to get it on the radio. It's you know what, music and making music is great, but music business is not so
much.
fun.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard the interview with Tim Matheson talking about Animal House, and I know you met. Well, you were working in Eugene with the Nighthawks.
Yes,
Nighthawks,
I had a band called
the Nighthawks in Eugene.
Yes.
When you met John Belushi.
Yes.
And he came up to you because he loved what you did.
Yes. I'll tell you the story. Is that okay?
Yeah, tell me the story.
So I lived with, we were roommates, the bass player for Robert Cray. And I was in a band called the Nighthawks, you know. And we were both popular, and we have to think of another way, you know, we're hustling gigs to make them. So we thought of doing a concert at the Eugene Hotel featuring both bands. And one morning, Richard comes up to me and goes, I auditioned for this movie with Robert, and there was no name, but I didn't get the part because my skin was too light, but they wanted, you know, from the black community.
Well, right.
You know, and Richard was like, I didn't get the gig, but they want to have our instruments. And he's and I just went through, and there's a movie in town. That was it. Now, go forward to the Eugene Hotel a couple of weeks later. A man comes up to me and is yanking on my pant leg as I'm singing. And this is the Robert Cray Band and the Nighthawks. And I'm doing my thing with the Nighthawks. And this guy goes, Belushi wants to meet you. And I thought he'd sneezed or he's cussing at me. You know, and that's the truth. And I'm in the middle of a song.
Right.
So it's one of those people that go, hey, stop singing. And then, so anyhow, I couldn't make out what he was saying, and then I got off the stage, and he came up to me, and he goes, hey, Belushi. And this guy walks up, and he shakes my hand. He goes, I like your music. I like what you're doing. You know, I have a friend. He plays harmonica, too, and his name is, and he plays harmonica, too, and his name is Dan Aykroyd. Oh. And I thought to myself, who cares? To myself.
Right.
Who cares? Every hippie in town plays harmonica.
Yeah.
and
this is Eugene, after all.
Yeah. And he says, I'm with the movie that's in town.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I'm looking at the star, and I said, and this says something about John. I just said, you know, do you know Robert? Robert Cray's in that movie. And he didn't blink. He goes, yeah, Robert taught us how to dance. So I knew exactly. So the conversation moves on, and I'll move this on. It was just, eventually he says, let's you and I go smoke a joint. So we went out.
Again, that's how it went.
This is how it was those days. I quit that a long time ago, but he goes, let's go hang out, you know, smoke a joint. So we went up, and I don't remember exchanging phone numbers, but about 5 days later, he found out where I was living, and the phone rang, and it was him, and he goes, come over to the house. I'm up here, and they'd set him up. Universal Studios had set him up with a house to live in Eugene. And I went to his house, and he said, bring your records. So I brought records, and he was into like Blue Oyster Cult and Black Sabbath and stuff like that. Because I saw the records on this. Remember the console?
Yeah, of course.
There was records there. And I brought a pile of blues records and R&B and stuff. So Magic Sam and Little Walter and Muddy Waters and Lowell Fulson and a guy by the name of Willie Maben and stuff who does I Don't Know, and which they would record. Long story short, another time I went over, I'm sure you'd like to hear this story, is I go over to visit him a second time, and he's watching television. And he goes, hey, have a seat. So I sat down, and they go, well, what are you doing? He goes, man, you ever watch Gunsmoke? I love this show. And I go, yeah, I see Gunsmoke all the time. So we're watching it.
Right.
And every character that came on television, he mimicked to a T.
Oh, wow.
So I knew what was happening. He was riffing.
Yeah.
You know, he's sitting there. And so it'd be like, mail call from Mr. Dillon, and he'd go, mail call from Mr. Dillon. And then he knew every character actor that was in this particular episode of Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
You know, so it was, I was in for a ride.
Yeah. When the Blues Brothers came out, what was that feeling like for you? Because
it just basically, I'll tell you who kept me together for this. It wasn't like I was going to go nuts and stuff. I just let it roll. He was into what I'm into. I want people to know these wonderful people in the black community or in the bluegrass community or in the I want to know people. I want people to know roots music and who these are, how incredible. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know who he was. I didn't know about Saturday Night Live at all. I just know he's into what I'm into, and that's what I'm doing to you right now is what I did. So it's like, what was your question again?
Yeah, it was about when the Blues Brothers came out.
When it came
How did
about.
that feel for you? Because that's a big
it went like this.
Homage to you.
I'm sitting with Judy Jacklin would cook for us, and I go over to visit.
John's wife, Judy.
And John's wife, thank you. And one time he came around to the side of me and showed me his knuckles, and it said Jake.
Yeah.
He goes, we're going to put a skit on, and we're going to call ourselves the Blues Brothers. And he wanted my okay, and I thought, well, you know, okay.
Yeah.
And he went on to go, yeah, you know the guy I told you about, Dan Aykroyd and stuff, so he works with us on this variety show.
He didn't say
never said Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And I go, all right, so that moves on to move ahead. Now, during this very small time window, by that point I had quit the band I was in because they didn't want to stay with music, the Nighthawks. They understood that it was going to be a lot of touring and stuff.
Right.
And I hooked up with Robert Cray.
Wow.
So we're having a rehearsal, and the phone rings, and John says, you know, what's this bit of business that you do in this particular song? Why? He goes, well, we're going to do it on television on Saturday Night Live. This is the show. And we're going to say your name on the show.
Wow.
And then he told me he was going to dedicate the name of the record. They were working on a record. They hadn't recorded it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of dedicating the record to you. I didn't know, man. It's just, I'm telling you, it was just happened around me.
Right. And you were telling me that Judy really kind of protected you in a way from some of the craziness of John.
Yeah, well, not of John, but just like, I think I'll put it this way, she realized, she knew that this might blow up, maybe that, but I'll put it this way. John and I make friends, and they put out, let's go way far ahead, because John invited me down to Hollywood to watch him film a movie called 1941. Right. So we became, said nothing to do with Blues Brothers or nothing to do with Animal House.
Good friends.
Come on down. So we were close.
Yeah.
Now move ahead a little more. So we're on the phone, and he calls me up and says, what is the name and the lyrics in this particular tune we're going to do for his second record, Blues Brothers 2? And I said, what song is it? He goes, this is like Hollywood Bound or something, and I knew what he was talking about. So real quick, I collect records, and I know collectors. And we were turned on to, the Robert Cray Band was turned on to a song called From the Bottom by Sonny Boy Williamson. Yeah. B.B. King's on guitar on this, a young B.B. And it goes, from the bottom, oh boys, I'm Hollywood bound from the bottom. I mean, you can't beat that, right? So it's like, and he gave us a recording of the 78. It has not been released. It is rare as hen's teeth. You understand? Is that right? Hen's teeth, right. So it's rare. And we're the only band in the United States, anybody, anywhere that's playing this. So we learn it, the Robert Cray Band. Now I'm getting a phone call from him going, what are the lyrics to this tune? And I said, we're doing that song. I don't want to share this song. He said, what are the lyrics? I said, You know, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, wow.
You have to work it. And we got in an argument now.
Okay.
So now Judy Jacqueline. Okay.
Curtis, we have to have you back. We
Okay.
got to go now, but we want to tell everyone your new album is called Fine By Me. You're performing tomorrow night, right? And we're going to put all that information so everyone can find out where you're performing on our website at k2.com. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Thank you. How come Tim got it along with you?